Ranking Halloween movies: the good, the bad, and the controversial. For countless enthusiasts of the horror genre, there's something incredibly thrilling about October. This month grants enthusiasts a delightful opportunity to binge-watch horror films, especially those that revolve around the spooky holiday of Halloween. Naturally, the most popular horror films set during this time are the slasher flicks that bear the holiday's name. After indulging in the complete collection of Halloween films, we've curated a comprehensive ranking from the least to the most impressive. Dive into our Halloween movie rankings and see where your favorites land. 1. Halloween Resurrection, 2002. Director Rick Rosenthal may have successfully captured the essence of John Carpenter's original film with Halloween 2, but bringing him back for the sequel to H2O turned out to be a miscalculation. Without solid material to work with, Rosenthal not only negated the climactic conclusion of H2O by eliminating Laurie Strode in the film's opening act, but also introduced a storyline that barely warranted the Halloween label. Sure, the concept of college students hosting a live stream from the Myers house reflects our digital age, yet it seems detached from the spirit of the franchise. Furthermore, the film's odd sense of humor undermines the tension of any serious moments, resulting in a campy atmosphere where the actors, particularly Busta Rhymes, deliver performances that can only be described as absurd. His excessive improvisation suggests he didn't quite respect the franchise's legacy. Ignoring previous sequels to create H2O was one thing, but following it up with this misfire was a disappointing turn. Halloween Ends, 2022. In a film that seemed to prioritize the struggles of a bullied babysitter-turned-killer, the supposed finale with Jamie Lee Curtis's Laurie Strode and Michael Myers feels secondary. While Myers has seemingly spent 4 decades imprisoned to nothing but the reverberations of his past actions, the narrative takes a strange turn, suggesting he derives power from his murders. Yet this strength appears fleeting, leading him to a pathetic existence in a sewer. Another concept explored is the potential for Myers' malevolence to be passed to another character, which could have enriched the storyline but ultimately fell flat, leaving most viewers disenchanted. It raises questions. Do you find it compelling to see Michael Myers team up with an apprentice, or does it diminish his menace? Despite its shortcomings, this installment is slowly garnering a following that might appreciate it in the years to come. 3. Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers, 1995. After a long wait of 6 years following the cliffhanging conclusion of Halloween 5, fans were ready for the answer, only to receive an unfortunate patchwork of plot points that should have stayed on the cutting room floor. In a bizarre twist, Jamie Lloyd is no longer portrayed by Danielle Harris, and her harrowing storyline involves her captivity and heartbreaking fate following an unwanted pregnancy. We dive deep into mythology involving a druid cult and mystical stones that apparently could stop Myers, which is a significant departure from the grounded terror established in earlier films. Interestingly, there are 2 versions, the producer's cut and the theatrical release, with differing emphasis on the cult versus genetic experiments. The concluding chapter of the Jamie Lloyd saga is deeply unsatisfying, and it feels imperative to rectify this with a follow-up that respects the character and narrative arc we lost. 4. Halloween Kills 2021. Launching directly from the events of Halloween 2018, Halloween Kills could fittingly be subtitled The Night Haddonfield Acts Irresponsibly. The film certainly needed a hefty body count, but the sheer absurdity of characters blundering into their doom, whether by senseless gunfire, failing to protect themselves with weapons, or simply standing idly by, detract significantly from the overall viewing experience. Add to this the townsfolk's wild mob mentality as they chase an innocent man, and you have a recipe for frustration. While it's commendable for the film to pay homage to Halloween 1978 via flashbacks, the stupidity of its characters can come off as quite aggravating. At least Curtis received a well-deserved paycheck while spending much of the film confined to a hospital bed. 5. Halloween 2, 2009. Rob Zombie was vocal about his struggles with studio interference during his time with Dimension Films, especially during the production of Halloween 2. Surprisingly, this installment carries a raw, dreamlike quality with eccentric hallucinations featuring elements such as a ghostly mother and a mysterious horse, diverging from the traditional horror narrative. This sequel feels like a departure from what we expect from a Halloween film, with most characters aside from Brad Dourif's Sheriff Brackett receiving less sympathetic treatment. Laurie Strode, as portrayed by Scout Taylor Compton, is reimagined here, grappling with her trauma and descent into madness, giving the character a darkness that brings a fresh, albeit bleak, perspective. Although aspects of this film will raise brows, zombies certainly aim to push boundaries. 6. Halloween, 2007. Rob Zombie's reimagining of Halloween is an unusual blend of narrative styles, featuring a first half that delves into the childhood of Michael Myers, which unravels his background as a typical serial killer rather than the enigma he once was. The second half aligns more closely with a reimagined version of Carpenter's classic, albeit at a brisk pace and filled with explicit language. Whenever Zombie attempts to recreate scenes from the original, they tend to pale in comparison. However, away from those moments, he successfully infuses his distinct vision into the Halloween franchise, presenting a version of Michael Myers that is not only more physical but also stripped of some of the franchise's mythology, making it feel more raw and grounded. 7. Halloween 5, 1989. Over time, Halloween 5 has developed a certain charm, although it strayed slightly from the thrilling momentum built in Halloween 4. Its quirky elements, including an unexpectedly weird hermit and the introduction of an annoying character named Tina, add a unique flair. The return of Danielle Harris as Jamie Lloyd is refreshing. Despite her character being notably silenced for a large portion of the film, Dr. Loomis, again played by Donald Pleasance, is a delight to witness, continuing to anchor the series. Even with its flaws, including the random insertion of the Man in Black, the film does offer memorable moments, especially a nail-biting sequence involving a laundry chute. 8. Halloween 2, 1981. This sequel makes commendable attempts to capture the aesthetic and mood of its predecessor, picking up right after the events of Halloween 1978. The initial portrayal of Haddonfield as Michael Myers stalks the streets is expertly crafted. However, as the story shifts to the hospital, it begins to falter, slipping into a repetitive slasher formula. Despite John Carpenter's effort to deepen the narrative with the revelation that Myers and Laurie are siblings, it feels forced and ultimately detracts from the film's suspenseful nature. Jamie Lee Curtis's role feels diminished, as Laurie spends too much time unconscious or dazed. Looking back, I can't help but wonder how the film might have benefited from exploring the psychological implications of Laurie's trauma, rather than simply showcasing a series of predictable kills. 9. Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, 1982. At the time, producers John Carpenter and Deborah Hill decided to pivot from the Myers narrative, presenting Halloween 3 as part of an anthology series. Directed by Tommy Lee Wallace, this film deviates wildly from its predecessors, opting for a unique storyline involving a sinister toymaker, leveraging Halloween masks and ancient magic. The ambitious concept of merging witchcraft with modern technology is borderline avant-garde, but delivers a distinctive viewing experience far removed from the traditional slasher themes. The dynamic leads, Dan O'Herlihy and Tom Atkins, add depth to this bizarre tale, making it enjoyable for those willing to embrace its eccentricities, even if it technically may not fit neatly into the Halloween category. 10. Halloween H2O, 20 years later, 1998. Upon its release, I voiced my disapproval of H2O's decision to disregard the sequels in which Curtis had not participated. However, with time and a deeper understanding of the franchise's convoluted timeline, I've come to appreciate this film as a fitting continuation from the original 2 installments. The atmosphere is rich, largely thanks to the direction of Steve Miner, and seeks to delve into Laurie Strode's trauma long after the events of 1978. Though some lines feel overwritten, particularly in dialogue, the hurried storytelling prevents the film from exploring Laurie's psychological depth adequately. There are scenes, particularly those cut from the final edit, that should have made the cut, providing crucial insights into her character. 11. Halloween, 2018. Jamie Lee Curtis's return to the franchise for this latest iteration was both a pleasant and surprising announcement, offering viewers an opportunity to delve into Laurie Strode's psyche decades after her initial traumatic encounter. Directed by David Gordon Green, Halloween, 2018, manages to feel like a sequel to both H20 and Carpenter's original, offering a compelling exploration of trauma paired with engaging horror sequences. However, while its intense climax serves up a satisfying confrontation with Michael Myers, the lackluster subsequent films slightly tarnish its legacy. In hindsight, it may have been more impactful if this installment stood as the final chapter, delivering a remarkable closure instead of setting the stage for a trilogy that ultimately disappointed. 12. Halloween 4: The Return of Michael Myers, 1988. Producer Mustafa Akkad's aim to resurrect Michael Myers after Halloween 3 yielded results in Halloween 4, directed by Dwight H. Little. This film encapsulates a nostalgic Halloween atmosphere, rich with memorable characters and the return of a fierce Michael Myers. The storyline effectively connects with its predecessor as it showcases Myers' pursuit of his young niece, Jamie Lloyd, portrayed adeptly by Danielle Harris. The narrative strength lies in its character development and performances, particularly from Donald Pleasance, portraying Dr. Loomis. From its nostalgic opening credits to a thrilling finale, Halloween 4 has continuously captivated audiences and remains a beloved entry in the franchise. 13. Halloween, 1978. The inaugural Halloween film remains an unparalleled classic in the horror genre, directed by John Carpenter. Its masterful construction begins with a seemingly arbitrary murder and progresses to Michael Myers' escape, spiraling towards chaos in Haddonfield. The design, storytelling, and score all blend seamlessly, establishing a genuinely unsettling atmosphere. Michael Myers is depicted not as a supernatural entity, but as a force of evil, stalking his victims with chilling intent. Donald Pleasance's portrayal of Dr. Loomis adds depth to the narrative, where the emphasis on suspense and simplicity creates not only the finest entry in this series, but also elevates it to the ranks of the greatest horror films in cinematic history. After reading through our Halloween movie rankings, how does your personal list stack up? What do you think about the selections we've made? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below.